Welcome back to the Vintage Firearm series. In today's episode, we're going to be visiting with the 1897 by Winchester. This is quite a bit of history coming up right in this next couple of minutes because it was all happening very quickly at that time at Winchester. The good, the bad, all of it. So in 1893, the predecessor to this gun, they came out with a black powder shotgun. It was kind of a foolish thing to do because it was already in the works. They were working with like the 1894, which was a lever action gun designed for nitro, which was going to be coming out in the following year. But they came out with the predecessor to this, the 1893 black powder only. And within 4 years, they were going to come out with this. But the truth of the matter is, they knew that they had made a big mistake. And kind of points for them, they tried to do the right thing in those days. It was probably the end of that for Winchester. I don't know. They made some bad decisions. So they gave everybody who had an 1893 in 1897, they just walked in, you swapped them out, and that was it. And it was kind of a cool thing. But when you look at the 1897, what was interesting about it was they had a couple of what they considered to be design flaws in it, and they wanted to fix those out. Now, Remington came up with the Model 10. I still believe that's one of the best shotguns out there. I don't care what anybody says. You find one of those that isn't worn out, boy, and you've got something to talk about. People love those shotguns. You loaded them from the bottom, and the shell is expelled from the bottom. So it was really kind of good in that way. So if you're out in the field or something, there's hardly any place for the dirt or whatever contaminants of the world to get into your shotgun. That would be a very big bonus. So in this gun, though, it was kind of interesting because they did come out with the Model 10 by Remington, their competition, and then a designer at Winchester came up with, I believe it was T. Johnson or something. I don't know. You can kind of let me know. I just do these videos off the cuff. So he redesigned the 97. Now, why did he do that and not John Browning? Well, I can tell you why he did it. Because Winchester and John Browning were having a lot of issues over royalties and rights and things like that. They were taking his rights to his shotguns and making other kinds of shotguns and all of that. And the perfect example is the Model 12. You take a Model 12, which John Browning got nothing on that. They sold 2 million shotguns, and he didn't get anything out of it. And so these were the type of things that was really starting to bother John Browning. And so, but this was no slouch either. So to jump back into this was, the Model 12 was coming out in addition to this, not as a replacement. Now that's kind of interesting. You'd think that the Model 12 would have replaced this, but it didn't. By the time the Model 12 had come out, 1913, we're going to call this that, they had sold over 500,000 of the 1897s. It was a well-respected gun. People loved it. But they didn't discontinue it when the Model 12 came out. They continued making it until 1957. And in the end, they would sell over 1 million of them. Now the Model 12, even more popular, they sold 2 million of it. And so, and they stopped that one in about 64, but they had special limited variants of it. Most people are a little shy of those. Whether or not they should be, I'm not here to debate that. Most of the ones made after 64 are not as good as the ones made previous to then with the Winchester line, or most lines, to be honest. So let's talk about this gun. Let's talk about why they came out with the other gun. Well, they had some complaints on it. And one of the complaints was that if you stuck your hand here, you could hit it. So you need to keep your hand back respectable. So when you rechamber the next shot or chamber the first shot, that you wouldn't hit yourself. I've always considered this a great bedroom gun. Okay? Why is that? Well, I'll tell you why. Because if you're not familiar with this gun, it's hard to chamber it. Okay? If it's all set up perfect and everything, it's very hard to chamber it. I remember the first time I ran across one. I'm in a store and I liked the 97. I wanted one. I couldn't chamber it. I didn't know how. Now, I'd had Model 12s for a long time, but I didn't know how a Model 97 worked. Because if you're sitting there and you try to pump it, you can't do it. So if somebody was to break into your house and they get to the gun before you, they're not going to be able to chamber a shot against you. They might use it as a club against you, but they're going to have a hard time unless they're familiar with it. And yet it's kind of simple. Now, on the Model 12, there's a little button here, right here. That's an improvement, by the way. They also did away with this hammer so it wouldn't hit you and, you know, when it was cycling and stuff. And, but basically that was it. Otherwise, it's the same gun. It's a John Browning gun. So how do you chamber that first shot or cycle it? Well, there's this real button right here. And you take this button and you push it. That still won't let it work. Here's the funny part. You got to take the forearm and push it away from you until you hear a click. Let's do it again. Now I want you to listen real careful. I'm going to bring it up close to you. Did you hear that? Let's do it again. Won't work now. So now, push the forearm away. That little click happened. Let's do it back here so you can get an angle of it. I remember the first time I ran across it, the guy was trying to explain it to me and I just couldn't get it. It doesn't sound normal. So I pushed a little button back there and then I pushed the forearm away from me, away. Here you go. Let's listen again. A little tiny click, that's all you need to hear. So I always thought, hey, somebody breaks into my house, they grab that gun, that's fine. I'll get one. I know how to chamber. So, 1913. I believe this is all original. It seems to have the original bluing, a few scars that you would expect. You know, sometimes when you get an old gun, you just kind of have to go with it, you know. Okay, it's got a few flaws in it. A lot of these had long barrels, 30. I think I've got one that's 32. Could be a Model 12. This one, you know, from here on up, they're all the same, you know, and very little difference elsewhere. Others will argue with that, that's massive differences and stuff. And in some ways, they're probably right. But the truth of the matter is, I think overall, way more similar than different. So, in any case, it's a wonderful gun. They're really hard to come by in a really clean condition. Most of the time, these guns were used to death. You see them and there's not a bit of bluing left on them. They're just gray. And it's because they were well loved. And they were a great gun. And that's why they sold over 1 million of them. And over about half of those well, after the Model 12 came out. Let's go outside and take a few shots with her. She's going to be glad to be alive again. Okay? Thank you so very much. Let's go on. Okay, so let's load up. We're shooting with 8s today. Those that are bothered by the Model 12 and the way it loads will like this. It looks like they've still got the plug in this. How can it be? Guy did hunting with this, I guess. 1913 to now, and it's still got the plug in it. Okay, so I guess we're going to go for those cans. We're going to hit them a couple of times, and then maybe we'll hit them a couple more of the leftover pieces. Okay, because they're going to go flying first shot. So, push the button in, push away. And kind of made a mess of that, huh? Let's get a couple more in there. Oh. Which one should we go for? Let's go for those 3 right in the front. We'll hit all of them, make them fly. As you can see, no problem with an old gun. It's the best value out there. There are certain model Winchesters that nobody knows about. I'm going to be talking about them soon. You can pick them up for 300 bucks. And they're every bit as good as this one. I'm going to be talking about them. Give you a hint, they are almost this one. They're not quite. So let's go back inside and finish up what we're going to do there, and maybe talk about the next video if I could think of what it's going to be. Thank you for so much for hanging around with me. I appreciate it. And we'll get back inside and say a couple more things, and then we'll be on our way. Bye-bye for now. Okay, so here we are. We're back inside. There's a... pushing the wrong button. Want to measure the choke on this too, because Winchester's been known to be a little generous on that stuff. But the first thing we're going to do, as always, is clean the gun. So yeah, it was right at that time that Winchester and John Browning, this would be one of the last projects they worked on, sadly. Because within a year, John Browning would be really dedicated to the A5. And Winchester wasn't going to go for this arrangement where he got a commission on every one. He was just going to give him the rights to the gun, and then that was going to be it. And that wasn't going to go for John Browning anymore. He had all these other arrangements going with these other companies, and they were all agreeing to it, and Winchester says, no, we're not going to do that. We don't do that. We're Winchester. Eventually, Winchester would suffer greatly. It would hurt their reputation when they came out with the Model 11, the Widowmaker. Because they couldn't come up with an idea that was better than John Browning's. John Browning had the best idea. Crazy. But, so that was pretty much it for John Browning and Winchester. He used to help out everybody, but he wouldn't help out Winchester. So, in any case, I hope you've enjoyed this. I have. This feels like an old friend. I haven't fired him very much. Haven't fired. I'm not even sure if I've hardly ever fired this one. I've got too many, and but that's not possible, by the way. Oops, slipped out of my hand. But yeah, so you can't have too many. But I'll tell you what, when you've got a great shotgun in your hand, it doesn't matter what it is. It just feels right. It feels maybe a little different, but you don't even notice it. Like right in here, this is all different. I can tell. That's nothing like a Model 12. Let's look at the two. See, they had 15 years. You know, I think it's just gun to gun. This one is thinner. This is more heavy. That's what the difference is. And it could just be the length of the stock and everything too, but this one here honestly feels a little better, but I didn't notice that when I was out there. You know, if you got a small hand, you may want a 97. You know, if you got to just be able to reach everything. Hey, it's really been great. What am I going to do tomorrow? I don't know. I hope you'll come by and find out. Well, it won't be tomorrow. It'll be every other day for a while. And on Rumble, and maybe less often on YouTube. Certainly the videos run behind on YouTube. And I think that's going to continue to happen on a bigger and bigger basis, because I just can't keep up. And I do want to upload them separately. I could go on Rumble and upload both of them at the same time, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to keep them separate, and that way there I can have to think about what YouTube might like and what they might not like. With Rumble, you just upload it, because I don't do anything controversial. So, but YouTube says I do. So we'll have to go with that. But in any case, I will be working on something tomorrow for you, because I'm going to get a few ahead. So when I have to go on the road, I can get them all done and up for you. So that's another one of the reasons why I'm going every other day. I'm actually going to be gone a month, 5 weeks, something like that, on business. But when I'm on the road, I'm going to be looking for guns as well. So who knows what I'll find. But I've already got some such great ones I want to show you. I don't know. We're never going to get caught up. Hey, take it easy. I will see you very soon on Rumble, and a little later, at least for a while, on YouTube. And then who knows, maybe they'll take all gun videos off YouTube. You take it easy. I will see you soon. Thank you so much for dropping by. Bye-bye.